Every once in a while it actually happens, doesn't it? Every now and again we're actually surprised, aren't we? Every once in a blue moon, we sit back and go, that was actually a good show last night. And then we start asking the questions. Where's the old man? What happened to him? And who the hell is in charge tonight? Happens a couple of times a year usually. Usually more toward WrestleMania season, but it happened last night. Now who knows if Vincent Kennedy McMahon was in charge last night? He could have got on his jet plane after Survivor Series and went right back to Stamford, Connecticut, and I wouldn't have blamed him. It's been a long week in Chicago. Friday night they had SmackDown, Saturday they had NXT, Sunday Survivor Series. Maybe Vince McMahon said, I don't have any time left for this C-show garbage. I have responsibilities that are much higher up on the totem pole, like my $1 billion deal to fulfill with Fox, like my XFL Football League. I don't have time for the C-show Monday Night Raw. Because that's what it is, let's be honest. Not just storyline-wise like it was at Survivor Series, but it is. We all know that SmackDown is now that A show, or at least in Vince McMahon's eyes, it's the A show. And in Vince McMahon's eyes, now that they smell blood in the water for AEW and NXT on Wednesday, and now that Triple H and Vince McMahon know that in just 2 months, they're neck and neck in the ratings. In fact, they even beat them last week. And all it takes is a little bit of an infusion with McMahon's main roster. And they've already got a formula to defeat AEW. Now that they smell that blood in the water, now they're going to go for the knockout punch. And I think that's a bad strategic move. Like Vince said himself, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I would just let this drag on. I don't care if AEW's beating me month after month the first year. Let it drag on. But now I know how Triple H and Vince McMahon think. Trust me, I've been studying them for years. Vince McMahon more so, obviously. But once they smell that blood in the water, once they feel like they got you on the ropes, they're going to be relentless. So now a lot of focus and energy is going to go into Wednesday nights as well. Monday Night Raw is your C show, whether you like it or not. Not just that Survivor Series and storyline format, but it is. And we all used to joke, now that Vince McMahon is going to look at Monday Night Raw as the C show, maybe he'll leave it alone a little bit more. Maybe the show will actually improve. It started as a joke, but what we saw last night, 24 hours removed from Survivor Series, is this show was good. Now trust me, I'm not going to go on any rant about how this show is now great. I'm not going to talk about how this is the shit we're going to start seeing now in the future. No, come on. You know me better than that by now. I always like to see consistency before I jump on anybody's bandwagon, if you will. And I'll be happy. I'll be the first one on that wagon if this show consistently gets good. I'll be the front of that wagon. Toot toot, motherfucker. Do wagons toot or is that a train? Well, whatever wagons do, that's what we'll be doing, and I'll be doing it with bells on. Because I want to see this show improve. I want to see it. There's a lot of people that want to see just the company fail, the show fail. I'm not one of them. The reason I love pro wrestling is mainly because of WWE, that company. I want to see it improve. When people say I'm so negative and I'm overly critical, it's for the right justified reasons. It's because I want to see the company improve. I'm not one of those people on this platform that actually want to see it fail. I'm not. For what? Just so we have just AEW or just New Japan Pro Wrestling or just ROH? No. I actually love the WWE. I just want to see it be good, be better. And for 10 years at least, and for me even more than 10 years, it has not been anywhere close to what it could be and what it should be. And that's what frustrates me. But I'll be on the top, on the front of that bandwagon if this show was to get good consistently. But I'm not putting all my eggs into that fucking basket. No, this could be just one of those once in a blue moon type shows. But at least we got it last night. At least we got a good show. You never know when it's gonna happen, right? We tune in every single week out of 2 things, habit and hope. Habit because it's the one thing we've been doing every single fucking Monday night for year after year after year. And hoping that it's actually going to be good. Most weeks, as in every single week, we're let down. Last night, we got a good show. So I'll still probably rant, rave, and get amplified in this video because it's the only way that it's the only way that I love talking pro wrestling, you know? It's the passionate part in me. So I'm gonna get amplified, but it looks like I'm gonna get amplified in the right reasons, for the right reasons. And that's gonna be a little switch up, a little bit of a change. I like it. I really do. A lot of this show, when you're looking at what happened to Asuka and what she actually got last night, when you're looking at the Rusev and Lashley angle, finally taking a turn for the better, something that was actually entertaining, there's a concept, and it didn't drag on. Just a couple of minutes, short, sweet, to the fucking point. When you look at what happened with the AJ Styles situation and Rey Mysterio, the Seth Rollins situation, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton in their brief but so badass confrontation in the middle of that ring. I can pinpoint so many good things that happened last night, and when you string together consistently good things, you're gonna probably have a good show. There's a crazy concept. Let's start right from the jump, guys. This was hour number 1. Seth Rollins holds a town hall meeting with all the Raw superstars standing around ringside. The crowd starts instantly chanting CM Punk because it's Rollins, and we know the comments that he made towards CM Punk, and they're in Chicago. So you get the CM Punk chants. Now, I love what Rollins did here. He shut it down right from the jump. He said, and I quote, "I know, I tried to get him here, but he wouldn't come. He'd rather sit behind a desk in Los Angeles and talk about change rather than create it himself." How true those words are. But Seth Rollins saying that's something that he would say on his social media, but instead he grabbed the mic and WWE said, yeah, do that in the middle of the ring. So I really like that. We're seeing basically the Rollins over on social media right in front of us in that ring. That's what we always wanted. That's where he is best. I always said Charlotte Flair and people like that are best as heels. Well, Seth Rollins is in the same category. He's just best as a heel. It's just natural. And he's a good dude, probably. I don't know. I never met the guy. I mean, I've heard some bad stories, but I hear a lot of people talk about how he's actually a cool dude, so they don't know this dude on social media. Or they feel like he just flaked out on social media. Whatever the case may be, he's got the personality that you just want to hate. It's not a bad thing. Not in this industry. You can use that and make a ton of money and get people to really hate you. That's awesome. Use that. They started planting those seeds last night, and we're better. Right in Chicago, their hometown hero of CM Punk. I felt that was great to address it right from the jump. And Seth Rollins has been going on many radio stations. Anybody that asks him the question, he's been calling out CM Punk. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of the segment. But moving on, he then tells the entire roster that they sucked Sunday night. Straight out, they just sucked. The crowd chants, "You suck," over to Seth Rollins. Rollins pretty much yells at the crowd and says, "I know, I'm trying to fix the situation. Will you just let me?" And he starts yelling, screaming at the crowd. Again, more seeds planted toward the heel turn. That's what I loved about this. He then tells Randy Orton that he was the weakest link Sunday night. So Orton turns his back on Rollins and leaves. He then talks smack to Charlotte, AOP, Mysterio, and the whole locker room at this point turns their backs and walks away from Seth Rollins. At this point, the locker room leader has lost the locker room. Now, Kevin Owens stays, however, and instead of having at least one ally and trying to smooth up to Owens, trying to have a friend at least, one friend is better than no friends, right? But instead, Rollins just talks trash to Kevin Owens as well. And instead of walking away, Kevin Owens delivers a stunner to Seth Rollins. So Owens made it look like he was going to say something on the mic to retaliate to Seth Rollins, pretty much berating him. But instead, Owens just drops the mic, drops a stunner. And that set up a main event of Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins for later in the night. Now again, I ask this. Heel turn? That's the big question in the community right now. Is this a heel turn? First and foremost, short answer is yes. This absolutely is, because these are the seeds planted. Now, there's two types of heel turns, right? There's the heel turn that happens instantly, and then there's the heel turn that happens over time. For instance, we just saw it with Dakota Kai over in NXT. We've kind of seen it with Bayley. Remember, Bayley was like an in-betweener at first, and then she just went full throttle. These are absolutely seeds being planted. And I think the main reason is because Vince McMahon wants to do CM Punk Seth Rollins WrestleMania. Not confirmed. We don't even know if Punk would sign off on it right now, as of today. I think you throw enough money at this guy, that's what he's all about, it's going to happen. But Seth Rollins has been going on every radio station, not just social media, and he has been calling for this match. He has been calling CM Punk out. You know that Vince McMahon, this is confirmed as well, Vince McMahon wants CM Punk to do Stone Cold's new podcast on the WWE Network. So Vince McMahon is like a kid in a candy store. You take a kid into the candy store, he's going to be grasping at everything, every bright, colorful candy. Well, it's the same thing with McMahon. Once he knows that you're back in his grasp, he's going to grasp at you. He's going to want to get you. He's going to want to get you for his nice, shiny WrestleMania attraction. What better way, Seth Rollins, CM Punk? You know CM Punk would be the biggest babyface of all time if he was to do that match, because everybody loves their 150-pound average tattooed wrestler. Come on, I had to throw a slight dig there, man. But everybody's going to be doing the little CM Punk. So you have to have Seth Rollins as a heel. So I like the way, if you start it now, plant the seeds, and say within the next 4 weeks, he really is ultimate full throttle heel by Royal Rumble, then you can do that. Seth Rollins is his big legitimate heel, and CM Punk comes to save the day. If they want to do that, if they're able to do it, then this started out the right way last night. I didn't need the instant heel turn, because to me, it's pretty fucking instant anyway. Seth Rollins, everything that he said on social media, he basically went to the ring, and that's who he is. So I liked it. But the short answer to if he turned heel or not is yes. Absolutely. Because you saw what he did. He's doing the heel tactics now. He's berating the crowd. He's even going off on his own locker room. He's doing it ended last night with the double stomp. Even after the match, he double stomped Kevin Owens, who's beloved there in Chicago. And then you saw what he did afterwards. He pointed to the crowd, again, berating them. Those are all signs of a heel, guys. So he's not a face anymore. I mean, what he's doing, his actions, and what he is saying is all a heel. So if you look at facts, yes, the transition was made last night. Is it going to be a slow progression? It looks that way. We don't know how slow, but we've seen it with Bayley. We've seen it with Dakota Kai. The turn is in the making. So absolutely, this is a heel turn, whether it was instant or whether it's going to be over time. Seth Rollins began the process of turning heel last night, and in my mind, he already did. So that's huge. That's big time. And I liked how it was done. I really like how he brought everything that we berated him for on social media. He brought it right in the middle of the ring. He did turn his back on the locker room, I felt, because he went more on the corporate side. He called himself a locker room leader, but he was more about kissing the corporate ass and talking shit about the people that were frustrated. But if you're going to be a true locker room leader, you have to stick up for your locker room first and go to corporate with their concerns. See what I'm saying? He didn't do that. So last night, he went right out in front of everyone and said, y'all sucked. And basically, he was just disgusted with them. And he was probably glad they all turned their back and walked away, because Rollins was about to do that to them. I liked how it all unfolded. And by the end of the night, he was pointing to the crowd like, you listen to these people, screw them. And he gives Owens the double stomp. Everything that happened with Rollins last night was a great, vast improvement over the Rollins we've seen the last year in 2019. And that's the truth. And that was the whole beginning of Monday Night Raw, that whole town hall meeting. And again, it ended with a stunner by Owens, and then the main event was set for later in the night. And we'll go over that in just a little bit. Next up, we see Rusev. He gets served a restraining order earlier in the day. Now, this leads us into a Bobby Lashley match, but 60 seconds into this thing, Rusev crashes the ring and tools on Lashley from the ring all the way up the rampway and even onto the commentary table, where it looked for a moment like he was going to put Lashley through the commentary table, but law enforcement showed up. They were able to handcuff Rusev. He was arrested. But even then, he was able to put Lashley through a table and then kick down one of the grid fixtures up at the staging area. So this whole grid just fell on top of Lashley. So that segment was actually a vast improvement to what we've been seeing with Lashley, Lana, and Rusev. To the point of we didn't even want to see this on Monday nights or any night. But that was actually entertaining. I mean, if you're going to do it, go all out or don't do it at all. And that's what they did last night. They got a little creative. They made it actually fun. Liked it. That's all we need. That's all we asked for. You know, and it just seemed like the first half an hour, I was sitting back going, what the hell's going on here? That's a good half an hour of television. Like, at least I know in my review, I'm at least going to speak positively about a half an hour of the show. That's a plus. But it didn't stop there. Now, the second half an hour, to end hour number 1, it was a series of 3 matches. AOP annihilated Ryder and Hawkins. Then we went into Andrade defeating Tozawa via Hammerlock DDT. And then we went into Buddy Murphy defeating a returning Matt Hardy. It was great to see Matt Hardy return. It was tough to see Matt Hardy lose that return match. But after 3 devastating knees to the face, Hardy was out like a light. And I mean, it's kind of what's going to happen if Buddy Murphy is kicking you in the face 3 times or kneeing you in the face. I mean, you're going to be out like a light, so it's very realistic. It was just tough to see Hardy lose that match. But on the other hand, it was so great to see Buddy Murphy win such a significant match. Because yes, I feel it was a huge, significant match. A, it's against Matt Hardy. B, the dude just returned. Bro, that's huge. And if we're really going to do this Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy match, a match like that can only help you in the long run. Now, post-match, Buddy Murphy called out Aleister Black. Aleister obliges and storms to the ring, giving Murphy a taste of his own medicine, a knee to the face. Murphy is rocked, he's shook, and he ends up retreating to the back. Aleister Black stands tall. Aleister, Buddy, I'm in. Let's do that. Let's go to hour number 2. This is AJ Styles versus Humberto for the US strap. This actually took the whole hour number 2. So let me get a sip of coffee and then we're going to go over the whole hour, which was dedicated to the United States Championship. Sip of coffee, we'll do this. All right, so again, that entire second hour was dedicated solely to the US title situation. They actually let this thing drag out, but for the right reasons and in the right way. When you actually use a little bit of creativity and you put something out there that's actually interesting and you let it breathe, those are usually recipes for success. And that's what we saw. I absolutely loved it in the second hour last night. AJ Styles versus Humberto for the US strap. But before we even get that match underway, Humberto is jumped pre-match by Gallows and Anderson. They even deliver a magic killer on the steps. And subsequently, Humberto is carried to the back. Now, Ricochet then comes out to defend the honor, in a way, of Humberto, but also ask and beg the question to AJ Styles, what happened to you? You need Gallows and Anderson to jump people pre-match just so you don't have to defend your title? You used to be a champion, and now you're basically a shell of what you once were. In a roundabout way, those are Ricochet's words. I spiced them up a little bit because Ricochet's not that great on the mic. So sometimes he needs a mouthpiece like the Amplified Man. So I spruced up what he was trying to say to Styles. But before we could get any answer, and Ricochet challenges AJ Styles, basically wants to step up for Humberto and take that spot. But before we get an answer, Randy Orton then comes to the ring and he challenges AJ Styles. Then Drew McIntyre comes to the ring and challenges AJ Styles. We weren't even done. Rey Mysterio then comes to the ring. Slowly, but surely. I mean, he just had a fight with Brock Lesnar 24 hours earlier, so that's justified. But eventually, Rey Mysterio made it to the ring, and he too challenged AJ Styles. Now, Styles promptly declines all of them. Ricochet then proposes a fatal four-way idea. Himself, Orton, McIntyre, Mysterio. Whoever wins, they face AJ Styles later that night. Styles at first declines that as well, even asking Gallows and Anderson to get his back on how stupid the idea is. But Gallows says, actually, I like that idea. And Anderson says, yeah, the crowd is hot. It's Monday Night Raw. I kind of want to see it. So Styles is like, guys, what the fuck? Fine, do it. But none of you are going to get my championship anyway, so it doesn't matter. And again, Styles doesn't really lose here. He had a match anyway that night. So you might as well have these 4 dudes just beat the hell out of each other, and then you pick up the scraps afterwards. So we have this Fatal 4-Way. Now, you guys know I hate schmazes. So at first, even though I didn't mind all of that, now we're going into a schmaz. So my way of thinking is, great, this is just going to be another boring 15 to 20 minutes of just a Fatal 4-Way schmaz. I just don't like schmaz. I just feel it's a circus act. And there's nothing of importance that really comes from it. But I was a little intrigued as to who they were going to make the #1 contender for Styles' championship. I was a little bit intrigued. It could have went either way. Any one of them 4 I could have seen. I'm taking on Styles. So there was a little bit of intrigue, but after just a couple of minutes, it became quite obvious that this was a good match. Ricochet was just on his A game. He was the workhorse last night. But the chemistry between Orton and McIntyre stole the show for me. First of all, they started the match off kind of working together. I love that. Can you just picture for a second Orton in a tag team with Drew McIntyre? Picture it. Close your eyes. Orton, McIntyre. Badass. I don't know a team that could actually defeat them. Legit. I mean, that's some Harlem Heat type shit. I mean, that's just 2 damn good athletes still in their prime. Orton's still in that category, man. Don't get it twisted. Orton can still go. If you don't consider him in his prime, he's like on the line of just out of it. But you picture them in a tag team, man. So at first I'm just picturing that, but then when they turned on one another, guys, that is where it just was epic for me. And this is what I mean about psychology. Everybody always says, or you probably even wonder, even if you don't ask the Amplified Man, what does BC mean by psychology? Like, what is it? I mean, they're just going in the ring. They're having a match. I think psychology is bullshit. I don't think there actually is meaning, or people just want to sound smart and use the word psychology. No, what you saw last night, so you don't know because you don't see it anymore, usually. But what you saw last night for that brief 90 seconds, my friends, that is what we call in-ring psychology. That is when you captivate everybody with just your expressions, your emotions, your emotions. Everything about you is telling the story. No commentator needs to do such. You don't need to be doing flips and dives and bouncing around the ring like a ping ball. You are literally the story. And for those 90 seconds you go back and watch, commentary shut up. They just shut up and they let Drew and Randy tell their story. Face to face, and you hear Randy Orton say, "What is it with you? What's your problem? Is it because I'm taller? Is it because I'm bigger than you?" And Drew McIntyre chops the chest off of Orton. And at first, Orton is trying to man up, but he succumbs to the pain, and you see the agony in this Viper. And I loved it. And he gets back up in the face of McIntyre, and he delivers one to McIntyre, and McIntyre does man up. He doesn't succumb to the pain. And McIntyre looks right at Orton and says, "Yes, is that all you got? More!" And Orton then knows he's got to dig down deep, and he goes to do such, and instead he does 2 pokes to the eye. The low blow, so to speak. Everything about it was captivating, and it was so simplistic. You didn't have a double salted moonsault, whatever the fuck, 450. You didn't have somebody diving from one side of the ring to the other. You didn't have someone diving over the top rope and into the crowd. You just had 2 dudes that don't even know how to do a moonsault probably, but they're in there using their psychology, and it was captivating. Even the commentators didn't need to say a word during that. You just let them tell their own story with just a few motions. It was a chop, a returning chop, a poke to the eye, and it was one of the best interaction for the Amplified Man the entire night. That, my friends, is psychology. When you can captivate the entire crowd, thousands in attendance, millions watching at home, when you can captivate them with a fucking chop or a poke to the eyes because you're telling the story. And it's believable because it's McIntyre face-to-face with Orton. It's believable. It's realistic. You believe their motions, emotions, and expressions. They're telling their story, and it's told beautifully. That's psychology. And last night, everybody was taken to the University of Psychology because that, my friends, was Psych 101. I love that. I goosebumps talking about. I love in-ring psychology. I love when that's all we need, when we don't need all the hoopla, when we don't need commentary screaming at the top of their lungs, when we can just watch these individuals steal the fucking show and captivate us. That's what I love about pro wrestling. Jake the Snake Roberts used to be able to do that instantly. Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat would do. You see these individuals back in the day, and it was all about them. They didn't need to shock you with their moves. They could have the most simplistic move captivate you. I'll shut up about it, but I hope you guys understand how much that meant to me, and I hope it does you as well. That interaction between Orton and McIntyre last night, that's what we need more of. Tell your story. Breathe. Don't always feel like you gotta be running a fucking marathon in a 7-minute match. Today's wrestling is just chain wrestling. It's just bounce up, move, bounce, move. Nobody's selling anymore. Nobody's selling. You can't have in-ring psychology if you're always on the go and you're not selling anything. Psychology's out the window, and it's been out the window for years. McIntyre has that tint of old school. Randy Orton is old school. I loved it. Anyway, back to the fucking rest of the match. All right, just had to talk about how awesome that was. But in the end of this, Mysterio ends up cradling up Ricochet for the W. Rey Mysterio gets the shot next up with AJ Styles for that US Championship. But Ricochet, props to him because, again, he was the workhorse in that match. Ricochet was off the charts last night, and if he won this match, I would not have had a problem with it. So kudos and congrats over to Ricochet, but it was Mysterio who gets the win and gets to go over to AJ Styles next up. So all in all, guys, a fatal four-way schmaz that I thought was going to be a bore fest. I was just going to switch over to Monday Night Football a few times, but no, it was fucking good. What happened next would be even better. And this was Rey Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the aforementioned US Championship. This was... Fuck the notes up front. Let me just go over the shell of the notes because this is all you need to know. This match was fun, entertaining, and just brilliantly done. Bottom line. In fact, this whole US title situation lasted the entire second hour, and from minute 1 to the end minute, it was all beautifully and brilliantly done. In the end, the ref goes down, the OC interferes, Orton makes a save, and when it was all said and done, Rey Mysterio, that's right, Rey Mysterio defeats AJ Styles for the United States Championship and new champion. That was awesome. Congrats to Rey Mysterio. I am usually not a fan of titles changing hands in the middle of the show. I can't stand that. It adds no significance to the title or the person winning it. But when you dedicate the entire second hour to this and you let it breathe beautifully and it was done brilliantly and everybody was on their A game, damn it, I loved it. Please, sir, could I have some more? Oh, I just love when things go the right way. I just hate stupidity. You guys know that. And for years, this company is in the category of just utmost stupidity. It baffles me because it doesn't need to be this way. You see what goes on last night, everything from just psychology to good creative to everybody working their ass off and being on their A game to the right decisions being made. What the fuck? So great. So even though it was stemming from a fatal four-way schmaz, which I usually don't like, and it went into a changing of the title in the middle of the show, which I usually don't like, when you do everything else correctly, that can come off good. Huge moment for Mysterio. And don't worry about Styles, guys. Please don't worry about Styles, because I assure you, later in the night, let me find exactly where it was. This was with the OC. This was later in the night. This was in the third hour, but I kind of want to jump because it's connected to this. Anybody worried about AJ Styles? The OC was in a backstage, what was supposed to be an interview, but it was just AJ Styles basically in tears. He was frustrated with Gallows and Anderson because they kind of didn't stick up for him when he wanted to decline the four-way match. So he was frustrated with Gallows and Anderson, but he was more distraught over losing his title. So he was basically in tears. All he was able to get out in this interview was 2 words: Randy Orton, and then he left. So it kind of sets up something with him and Orton, which is always fun, obviously. It's Styles and Orton, and if done correctly, I'm all in. It's a damn good wrestling match. But I'm telling you guys, even though he lost, AJ Styles, that strap and lost the match and the championship, even though that was the best I've seen of AJ Styles utilized in a long time. The most entertaining he's been in a long time. So don't worry about that for Styles, because everything I saw from AJ Styles last night, he was more relevant to me last night than his whole US title reign. For me, that's the truth. I saw everything from Styles last night. I saw a damn good match from AJ Styles. I saw Styles actually being funny. Sometimes I feel he tries too hard, but I thought he was damn good on the microphone in the ring and then backstage when he was basically in tears and just was able to spew out Randy Orton. The way Styles was utilized and in many segments last night, he'll be fine. It's AJ Styles. But what they did with Mysterio last night, I can't knock that, man. That was actually really good. Now, after that, backstage, Kevin Owens, he ends the second hour officially, because again, the whole second hour was dedicated to the US Championship. So the second hour officially comes to an end with a backstage Kevin Owens promo that he is cutting, a scathing promo on Seth Rollins and what Seth Rollins has become, and how he, Kevin Owens, has not changed one bit. He's still the consistent Owens that he's always been. Basically saying he's got the same values, same morals, and he's the same person. He has never wavered. He's never changed to fit some type of mold. But Rollins, that's all he's ever done in his career. So I love that as well. And that takes us into the third hour. And the shit that I'm seeing that is actually good didn't end in the second hour, because we start the third hour with Charlotte Flair and Asuka. Now, old school mentality with this damn company is going to tell you that Asuka is going to be pinned in the middle of the ring, if not submitting in the middle of the ring. That's just what's going to happen, because it's Charlotte Flair. But with the theme of the night that I'm being shocked, that's what happened in this match. First of all, there was a point in this match where Charlotte chased Kairi Sane away through the crowd, and I kid you not, Kairi ran from ringside to the concession area in 2.5 seconds. Kairi Sane is fast as fuck and just as fast as Braun Strowman. Kairi was in the crowd running from Charlotte, and I blinked for a second, and she was already at the top of the crowd. Basically at concession. Unreal, man. Charlotte, I give her props. She ran pretty damn fast until Kairi started to ascend up the crowd. Then Charlotte stopped and we went to commercial. But Kairi Sane is a little fast thing, man. Wow. 2.5 seconds. Boom! Hot dog and soda, please. Man, that girl be fast as fuck. But anyway, moving on. That was just a little side note. I just thought that was hysterical. Now, Charlotte controlled the first half of this match, but the second half was Asuka's. The finish was just great. Kairi returns from the concession area finally and causes a distraction. Just enough for Asuka to spew that green mist into Charlotte's, not just face. I mean, this was right in her. This was the best green mist spew I've ever seen from Asuka. This was all over, and Asuka gets the ultimate victory. Pinfall over Charlotte Flair. So I already liked the first hour. The second hour trumped the first hour. And now here we are kicking off the third hour, and I left this over on the Twitter machine. I literally said, guys, what the fuck is going on tonight? Like, they're literally every decision is good to me. Every decision is the right one for me. Asuka, this was so big for her. I love the fact that they had Asuka win this match because it was so important in so many ways. Bring back some relevance for Asuka. Put some respect on her name. And that's what happened last night. I don't care about tag team titles right now. I just need Asuka one-on-one in that ring to show the world that she can beat anybody on any given day. Green mist or not, I don't care. Beastie, yeah, she won, but she cheated a little bit. I don't care. That's her character. She's a fucking heel. It goes with it. The bottom line is, who was the ultimate winner? Not a schmaz, too. Like, oh, she lost, but then Charlotte got pissed off after and beat up Asuka. So, even though Charlotte lost, she was the last woman standing tall. No, she lost, and Asuka looked like the winner walking up the rampway. Loved it. Please, sir, can I have some more of that? Next up, we bring the crowd down a bit because, again, at that point, I mean, there was a lot of good shit going on. So we bring it down with Eric Rowan, and he was squashing Frank Forget About It. Frank Forget About It was done in about 2 minutes, and Eric Rowan is still talking to that covered cage in whatever's in it. Who the fuck knows? This is another gobbledygooker situation from 1989, 1990. Remember the guy who came out of the egg at Survivor Series? I don't know what is in that cage, but I feel we're all going to be fucking quite disappointed. Backstage, again, I already went over the OC thing, and AJ Styles is pretty much now calling out for Randy Orton as he's in tears. Then we went into Lana backstage with Charlie Caruso, and Lana said even though her lover was taken out earlier in the night, meaning Lashley, by her obsessed ex, meaning Rusev, she's going to be okay. Don't worry. And she has a smile, and Charlie's like, okay. And all of us at home are like, thank goodness, Lana's gonna be just fine. We can all go to the bed fucking peacefully now. Don't worry, everyone, Lana's good. Thank goodness we had that update. Up next is the main event, Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. This was good, nothing over the top, but a solid Rollins and Owens matchup that you'd expect from these two. At the end of this thing, AOP entered the ring, and I like this because this could have solidified the Seth Rollins heel turn, but it looks like they're going to drag it out a little bit. But this made sense because Rollins degraded them earlier in the show, and they turned their back on him earlier in the show. So now they come out, make it look like they're going to attack Rollins, but attack Owens. That's what I was thinking anyway, and that's exactly what happened, by the way. That's exactly what happened. They looked at Rollins, but instead they turned their back, and it was Owens who first smacked one of the members of AOP. So then they attacked him. But I thought it would have been even better if they just turned and attacked Owens right from the jump. But they decided to have Owens do the smack first. So anyway, they attack Owens. They go to do the same to Rollins, but instead they back up, they retreat from the ring, and they head to the back. Rollins is a little bit confused, he looks. So again, it looks like they're going to drag this on, but I think in the end, I'm down with seeing Rollins and AOP. It's nothing I need to see, but I guess I'm okay with it. I think this could work, especially if you are going to set something up for WrestleMania with CM Punk. If he indeed agrees to it, then yeah, that's an awesome storyline. Now Punk is going to have to overcome all those obstacles, not just Rollins, but the AOP as well. And who knows if they add anybody else into a faction. So I like where this is going. But it looks like Rollins was like a little bit confused, like, huh? But then he goes and does some more heel tactics. He delivers a stomp when the match was already over, stomps Owens. The crowd is booing heavily. He points out to the crowd and tells Owens, yeah, you listen to these people? So now he's degrading the crowd more heel tactic. And then he goes and he delivers a second stomp to Kevin Owens while boos rain down. And he's being serenaded by those boos by his beloved Chicago crowd because they love Rollins in Chicago. But that's how we go off the air, guys. I liked it. We're seeing the seeds already planted to Seth Rollins in that heel turn. So, yes, I know the community is going to do... We always do this when somebody is kind of in between the heel turn. Again, we've seen it with Dakota Kai, but even more like the Rollins situation, we saw it with Bayley. We call it an in-betweener, right? She's a tweener. That it kind of in-between face, in-between heel. But don't kid yourself. It is leaning. The pendulum is more on the heel side. Don't fool yourself. So yes, the short answer is Seth Rollins last night. Whether you want to call it the beginning stages of the heel turn or whether you want to call it full out. That was the heel turn. The progression has began. The seeds have been planted. Seth Rollins is turning that way. And let's be honest, there's no other way he could have went. He lost the crowd. And when you do that, it makes no sense to keep him as a full throttle face. You're not going to gain anything from this. It makes no sense to keep him as a face at all. The heel turn is the only logical thing here. Vince McMahon would not do it with Roman Reigns. Seth is a little bit more expendable to Vince, a little bit more, so he's willing to do it with him. You will never see it with Rowan. Rowan. Rowan, you've seen it 5 times. With Roman Reigns, you'll never see it. He just won't. He's one of those John Cena type guys. They're a face for life, whether you like it or not. But Rollins, I think they understand they have to go this way. And if you're going to set something up with Punk, if you're going to continuously call out CM Punk, you probably want to do it as a heel. Because this little 150-pound tattooed average dude is going to come back and everyone's going to go ballistic. The CM Punk, oh God. You're going to be the heel anyway. You might as well plant those seeds already. So that was awesome to see this start up and to see the Rollins heel character on screen, not just on social media. It's really cool to see. In this entire fucking hour, it did it for me. Again, I'm not going back to like the Attitude Era or anything like that. Relax. I'm not saying that Raw is good once again from now on. I'm just saying last night we tuned in out of habit and hope, we expect something now. We expect to be depressed during it, but instead we actually got a good show. As every minute went by, I started to creep up a little more up my seat. Like, wait, what? Are you Rey Mysterio just did, Seth Rollins is doing Asuka just beat Orton, McIntyre, Psychology, thank you. Everything was just like, what's the words? Oh yeah, everything was just a good show last night. It's awesome. Even Rusev and fucking Lana and Lashley. Short, sweet, to the point within 5 minutes. Pretty cool. Through a table, fixtures are coming down on them. People are getting arrested. That's what I call entertainment. It beats a fucking 2-minute makeout session between Lana and Bobby Lashley. And by the way, holla at your boy. You gotta give him props. That's good for Lashley, let's be honest. You can't play or hate on the guy. But it beats that, man. I'd rather see people going through tables and fixtures coming down and people getting arrested. I mean, that's more interesting. It seems like they took some time and they actually put shit out there that we might enjoy a little more. It was so good, man. It really was. It's so refreshing. I can't even describe. I'm talking about Monday Night Raw, and the whole review has been positive. The fuck has just happened? The Amplified Man. Obviously, you guys know AEW and NXT this week. I usually do the review under one review. Under one video, I should say. That's not going to happen this week. YouTube doesn't like that for some reason. They just don't like it. They don't like anything I'm doing lately with these videos, but they really don't like that, so I have to separate that. So now I have to do a separate NXT review and a separate AEW review, and hopefully they like that more. I won't go into the specifics. They just don't like it, and so now I have to separate them. So you're still going to get both, but it's going to be 2 different reviews, and I hope to still have them both up on Thursday, either simultaneously, so you can go back and forth whenever you want, or one will be up in the morning and I'll have one up later in the day maybe, but there'll be 2 on Thursday. But always stay subscribed and notified because I could put up an impromptu video tomorrow as well. And of course, Friday we have the podcast and Saturday SmackDown's review and reaction. So still a lot of content still to come to end November. We're not taking a day off on Thanksgiving. No, 2 videos, NXT and AEW. And on what they call Black Friday, you will have the podcast. So there's no days off over here. We're going to fucking talk pro wrestling because it's what I love to do, and I know it's what you guys love to do. Luckily, we like to spend time together, so it all works out. So I'll see you guys maybe even tomorrow for an impromptu. For now, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and just be happy we got a good show from these people. Maybe being the C show was the best thing possible for Raw. The Amplified Man. Till later on in the week. Ow! Check you later.